guys, my name's Steve, and today, I wanted to do this video as one of our Sorta how-tos where I show you the process of how I ended up doing a custom for a figure or a paint job for dinosaurs and stuff. But this guy, initially, when I had the idea of when I bought this, I was going to be messing around with it. I didn't know exactly how I was going to go about building this cape. Because for the most part, I don't have any way of really heavy-duty sewing stuff together. And my last foray into using fabric glue wasn't really working that well. Tried a few different methods, came to this one as the end result for this. Because the one cape that it came with the actual figure here, well, it's a nice cape. Like, it's sturdy, it's solid, but it just doesn't have like that Spawn flair to it. But it's still, it's kind of nice. Like, for the figure and the price point, I thought it was pretty decent. But I wanted something a little bit more elaborate and still kind of convey the look of the game. Granted, there's a couple differences, like the whatever you call it around the cowl around the top here. I wanted to have larger just because it's Spawn. I kind of wanted it big. Made some chain accessories for him, which actually helped to keep him posed. But currently I have these out. And then made the cape here. Which what this is just spandex that I did a lot of gluing. Well, gluing as in heat tape. And real quick, I'm going to cut to a video showing you guys how the heat tape works. It's not me actually putting this together, but to give you an idea of the process, or at least part of the process that was involved in making this. And again, just want to bring up that I'll show you guys essentially how I put the cape together by going over this next custom I'm sort of working on, which is a Tommy Oliver as per when you first seen him. So green shirt, gonna do black pants, put the necklace on him, maybe get a little green head bandana on him, and hoo-yah! But anyways, for the most part, how I'm going to be attaching this is exactly how you would have done the Spawn cape, if you will. So what I did was I cut out little templates. For Spawn, it was a much larger one. As you can see, the giant sting right here. I made a template of the size that I want to cut it out, and then after doing all the gluing that I did here, that's when I started cutting stuff. And then when I attached the glue, which actually probably helps show you guys that too, it's this stuff. It's heat tape. You can find this in most crafting sections and most any store. I actually still have the package for it. Ultra Hold, heat and bond, iron-on adhesive. So you'll also need iron. I got this little tiny one here for my craft stuff. For this, once you cut it out, you're going to want to take the textured side, goes down on your what you want to attach to the fabric. So for the Spawn cape, I set it along, or I laid it along the entire side. You put your iron on top for 2 seconds, you peel the tape off, you attach your other side, and then flip it over, attach to the other side, heat it with the iron for, once it's 8 to 9 seconds with the spandex. Just make sure you're not moving it at the time, because I'll shift the glue and then that fudges up everything royally. So you press it for 9 seconds, press it for 9 seconds. Make sure you get all your contact points. Let it cool, and then it should adhere very nicely, as you see with the finished product cape. But to give you a slight demonstration, I'm going to be cutting out his green shirt. So, got some standard green fabric. This isn't the spandex, so I'm hoping this works good. It was the only thing I could find in a short amount of time that was green. So, I'm going with this. So, I take my template. Same thing I was doing. I'm usually not the most accurate person, but I just draw out the stencil. So, I know where my camera's set up, it's a little hard to see, but I just hold it down very tightly. Pen my stencil on. Now, the nice thing about the Spawn cape is I didn't have to be super pretty about this. This, I'm going to have to try to do this in like one good line to not make any kind of hiccups. But See if I can get this good on my first run. So one thing about doing work on a lot of this fabric stuff is I haven't really messed around with this too much. My cape was probably wasn't the first attempt, but first time really doing something out of fabric that I really liked that wasn't in like a large scale. Because you know, like my cosplays for the most part are already like mostly pre-assembled. It's kind of hard to find little muscle shirts though to go with your characters. You need a green muscle shirt, darn it. But anyways, alright, so that's all cut out. Clean this up real quick. All of the spawn cape was just, I cut the pieces out and just kind of set it because that didn't really need to be perfect. This is a little different. But for the folds, I made a overall shape. For the smaller sections on the cape, I made smaller, made the general about shape, sort of like what I did with this. And then made a stencil of that over top of this. So I took a few strips of this, taped it down. Actually, I might still have some sitting in my garbage bag right here. Kind of like so. I just kept making little strips, taped them together. Used painter's tape because it's just the same kind of paper material, so it heat transfers very nicely. And then you stick that to your fabric, you heat it, peel it back, and you got your glue seam. Do the same thing we were just talking about. But I'm going to do the same thing for this. We're going to take this, line it up pretty nice. As you guys can see, taking my hot iron, 1, 2, pull it back off. Then this should peel. As you guys can see, leaves this little reflective glue down. Now next, I'm going to take this, put it over top the section that I want. Right there. Still work. Ready? 1 second, 2 second, 3 second, 4 second, 5 second, 6 second, 7 second, 8 second. Alright, now I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Oh, this I probably should use a spandex for too. Need something stretchy, I think. Okay. As a first attempt, I don't think this is going to work out for me very well. Anyways, you guys can kind of get the gist of how, at least the cape went together. This is going to take a couple more tries. That actually doesn't look that bad right there. Okay, this side came out really nice. That side, not so much. I'd have to cut that a little bit. This, on the other hand, needs some work. Alright, so, for the cape itself, what I had to do with the tape was I made the template like you guys saw, made 2 of them, stuck it together. You can see that inside the cape there is a wire. So where I had the tape, I just kind of lined up the wire inside of the tape and then heated it together, and it did the trick pretty well. Used bigger strips for the under section here because there is a few layers for this. And actually, I'm just going to take this off so you guys can kind of see how I attached it. But it's held on here by Velcro. So when you get the original cape off, which is the back part, I had to cut off. And then you'll see I cut off the little skulls here. They're actually used on the cape on the back here. And then these I kind of ripped off for the most part, but this one I had to sort of slice. And I ended up, for the top of Spawn here, I shaved off the rest of the stubs and added some Velcro to the top here. And same with on the back here. Also did a little bit of drilling for the sides here and 2 holes in the bottom. These are where the chains hook into. Now, for the rest of this, the cape is actually done in a couple of pieces. This top section is its own separate piece that I heat taped in multiple spots to the bottom of here. You'll see this one isn't quite hooked on, but I just haven't bothered fixing it because once you put it on the figure, it tucks in, it looks fine. But there's a Velcro strap here and on the under section here. Do be careful though, because even with this tape on here, excessive movement, like if you go to overstrain it, it's going to pop the wires out. I've already had that problem once on here as I moved it a little too much and it popped the seam a bit, so I had to re-glue it. So you got 2 layers here, which is your initial base for the cape. And then I just detailed the cape how I wanted it. I ended up making a giant cut up here because I wanted it to be able to stretch out a little bit farther if I need to. Then I did this section here, the long bit here. This part over top of it to kind of hide everything, because that's kind of how you saw it in this cape too. As he has this part that wraps around. And then there's multiple strands coming off of it. But in the game, you see it kind of flows in sections. So underneath everything, I made 2 little bits. In this part, I actually used quite a bit of excessive amount of glue here, which you don't see it because it's going to be hiding under everything. But I want to make sure this stuff is going to stay on, and each of these have their own wires on the inside. So if I want to pose them flaring up or making it look more like it's wavy in the wind, because when you see it from like the side of the game, you see a bunch of the frills kind of hanging off, and it's kind of the look that I wanted. And then you can stretch the wires out to have it flaring out. You could tuck it all in if you wanted to. Again, kind of help replicate the game a bit, which is what I was going for this. And then putting these on, which what I did for these are just necklace chains. I just found a design I liked, ran a hanging wire through the center of it, and then just made little loops on the ends here for the chains to hook into. So these won't really adjust anywhere. And the top here, what this is, it's actually a worm weight for fishing, but it already had a hole on the inside of it, so it had a place where I could stick the wire in it and then just use some metal glue or jewelry glue to hook that onto there. And that's pretty much it. Because in the game, it kind of has like a big old pointed end to it, so I thought it kind of replicated the look a little bit. And then you get your posability out of this. You can move this around. Just do be careful that, like with the necklace chains, excessive force will pop these apart, and then it's a pain in the butt to get them back together. And then I had to, when doing this, you kind of got to bend the section a little bit, but because it has a decent weight on the end, you want to make sure when you're putting this in that you have some kind of section that's going to be pressing up against the skin, so it'll kind of block the movement and help with the posability, because otherwise it would just... Okay, this side's actually staying in better, but for the most part I had experienced it flopped around a lot. But once you start hooking these guys in, I made 2 really fairly long ones and 2 shorter ones. So the shorter ones are meant to go on the top here. Just slot it in. And again, it's got the back section here to hook in. These ones just kind of slide in for the most part. I didn't really do anything super crazy with these. Just push it in. These can move around all they want because I don't really care, because it's just kind of here for added support. Stand them up. Adjust a little bit to get it to stand. But as you can see, it's kind of holding himself up now. And then for the for the cape, just put his head through it, line up the Velcro on the back, and then just pull this forward, get about as far forward as you need it to. Yep, too far forward there. Kind of adjust and boom. Got ourselves a spawn. For the most part, this is all I really planned on doing for this. Although now it's not wanting to stand right. I gotta adjust the chains accordingly. Because I noticed with this guy, like just like the base of his feet just kind of make it a little bit harder to give him to pose. But overall, I think it's a pretty cool look. Kind of replicates the game a bit. If you want to know where I got the guns from, they're actually from McFarlane Call of Duty figures. But anyways, let me know in the comment section below. Okay, you just hang there for a minute. But anyways, let me know in the comment section below if you guys thought thought this was a pretty sweet custom in the end. I thought it turned out pretty well. Oh, actually I forgot. There's also a little clasp here. It's just a smaller necklace chain. Again, I used the skulls from the cape and literally just super glued them onto the front here, which is pretty easy. If you plan on making this custom the way I did, just plan on using a lot of heat tape. You're going to need an iron. But for the most part, use heat tape this. These I made templates for. This just gets heat taped to the top, and there's literally nothing hanging in there. And then, oh yeah, after I did the cape, I sprayed it with 2 colors with my airbrush. I did a dark red and then a pavement color to kind of give it that dirty wash, but it still has the red. Maybe could have went a little bit more excessive in a couple of spots, but still turned out pretty well. I don't mind like certain areas being clean. It kind of gives the cape a little bit of variety. And I might do another one of these sometime in the future. If I get more of this spawn in particular, I kind of want to do something akin to the like commando look that he has in the game, where it has like the nano print. I think it would be a neat one. And then those Call of Duty figures that I bought, I could kind of get some use out of them. Take a bunch of their gear off the figures and attach them to the spawn. But anyways, let me know down there if you guys would be interested in seeing something like that. For that one, since I've already done one cape, I have a good idea of what to do, so I can go more over exactly how I do that in that video. But for this one, was more just showing you guys my final results of playing around with something I've never done before. And see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.